Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30 on September 1st. If anyone hasn't voted yet, you still have a half an hour. And this is, the primaries in Massachusetts today. And the polls are open, I think, till 7 only. Am I right on that? Or is it 8? 7, I think. Okay. Welcome to probably our last and full Zoom meeting. I know that we had a discussion at the last meeting whether or not to go totally live or to do the Zoom. And having reviewed and seen how much work all our custodial services were doing and everybody was doing to redo the schools, the floors, the lines, and everything else, and how much work they had, I didn't think it was fair for us to add to that workload by having to have them set up a whole place for us. So I queried the committee, and everyone didn't really care whether we did Zoom or whether we did live. So to save the schools and to save the wear and tear, we are going to do this one by Zoom. Our next meeting will be, get the right date here, September 16th, which is also the first day of school, and we will be live for that meeting. And the location is to be announced. So watch this channel, and it'll either be at the high school or at the middle school. Does anybody wish to add anything to that? Okay. Good evening again, everyone. And I would like to say those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by ASRSD, and any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. This is to comply with the Massachusetts wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So I call to order the regular session on September 1st at 6:30. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Stand up. Jonathan, you're good at starting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Apologize that everyone had to look at my stomach on that one.
I just think it's kind of fun to call on different people and see what happens. Could we have the roll call, please, Michelle?
Mr. DeForge?
Present.
Mrs. Granger?
Here.
Mr. Leone?
Here.
Mr. Quinty? Mrs. Reshoots?
Here.
Mrs. Simmons?
Here.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay. The next item on the agenda is number 4. It's public participation. Tonight we are setting a time limit. Hi, Jim. Welcome. Tonight we're setting a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, which is written in our policy for public participation. Speakers may offer criticism of school operations and programs which concern them, but are reminded that the committee will not hear personal complaints about school personnel or any member of the school community not under the committee's scope of responsibility. Comments related to staff members or students must concern the educational goals, policies, and budget of the school committee. I think we're going to, right now it is 6:35, 6:35, I mean. And I think we're going to allow about 30 minutes for this section, as we have a number of things to look at tonight that barring athletics and new positions and handbooks. So is there anyone who would like to speak? And if you do speak, please state your name and your address. And if you need to speak longer, then, if you wish to write a letter to the chair or to the superintendent, please do. Okay.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, if I may just add, this is Mike Thibault, Director of Technology. To anyone who would like to speak, if you could just type so in the chat, which you can access from the bottom of your screen, and then we'll announce you to the committee. Thank you.
Jake Watkins. Would you state your name and your address, please?
Just got to give him a second to have Mr. Tebow give him the permission to speak.
Okay.
There we go.
Mr. Watkins?
Unmute. Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Hey, I'm Jake Watkins. My address is 33 Shirley Street, Air, Massachusetts, where I work as a teacher. So I just have some information I wanted to share with us. So 50% of the public schools in the United States right now are non-white students, meaning that half are white, half are non-white. 14% of public educators are Black. After having 2 Black teachers, Black students in schools are more likely to enroll in college. That increases by 32%. Only 2% of educators are Black male educators. Often Black educators leave the field and are currently leaving the field because they are a minority among their colleagues. They lack the upward mobility and the opportunity to grow in their positions at schools. Black students are more likely to do better on tests and less likely to have disciplinary behaviors. And again, some of this can happen for teachers that aren't of color because they're either unknowingly having bias and racist, they're not anti-racist, even though they aren't racist. And teacher training would do so well to help with that. For gay students in a school, they are 3 times more likely to attempt death by suicide. These result in 4 to 6 times more likely to injure themselves. So students that aren't gay, even if they attempt death by suicide, not likely to hurt themselves. Students who are gay, 4 to 6 times more likely. 40% of transgender adults in our United States have attempted suicide. And of that, 92% of them reported doing it under the age of 25. Each episode of a victimization, so any sort of abuse or bullying or situation that's negative for students part of the LGBTQ plus community, increases their likelihood for self-harm by 2.5%. And this is for each episode. So I'm sure you can assume if there's no sort of support for students, there can be more than one episode. I just ask that, like let's pretend for a second, not true, but like whoever does the hiring for a school, if they maybe had some biases or maybe were like racist tendencies, are they hiring Black teachers? Are they looking really hard for Black teachers? I mean, it helps our students. And if half of our students aren't white and we're all being taught by white teachers, a lot of students are raised thinking that only teachers are women and only teachers are white. So I just just wanted to share that and ask to think about that a little bit and kind of like vibe on it. So thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Later.
Is there someone else who would like to speak in public participation? Please put a note in the chat, and Mr. Tebow could call and can put you in.
Well, Madam Chair, just letting you know that nobody has stated that they'd like to speak in the chat.
Hearing none, I think this is far enough into the meeting. If my watch is right. Look at Michelle's clock on the back of her chair there.
6:40.
Huh?
6:40.
6:40. Does everyone feel that that's
Yes,
enough
let's move
time?
on.
Should we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is number 5, consent agenda. We need a vote. There are 6 items on here. Does anybody wish to take them, to call out any of them specifically, or can we do them as a group if I read them off?
I think a group is fine.
Okay, anybody else? Does that work?
I agree.
That's back.
Thank
All
you.
right. Consent agenda for August 5th, 2020, regular executive session minutes for release. August 5th, 2020, I just lost my list here. 2020 executive session minutes not for release. August 13th, 2020, regular session minutes for release. August 13, 2020, executive session minutes not for release. August 19th, 2020, regular session minutes for release. August 19th, 2020, executive session minutes not for release. I would entertain a motion. I'll get it together. I knew I wasn't going to be able to say 2 words tonight. I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as it's listed on our agenda this evening.
And a second.
Second.
Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
He was
you
here.
there?
Yeah, he's muted.
Is the, excuse me, is the warrant memo under item G included in this vote?
Yes.
It was just the minutes. We don't have
Just
a
the
warrant.
minutes? So are you
I
going to do
don't
the
have
warrant
a
memo
I don't have
separately?
a warrant memo for tonight.
There's a warrant memo on the agenda, Joyce. I was including that as part of the consent agenda.
Okay, but I don't have any numbers listed in the warrant memo.
I can read them, Joyce, if you'd like.
Okay, would you please, Jonathan?
Yep. So we have AP warrant 1180 dated 6/30/2020 in the amount of 159,000. Oh, excuse me. Hold on, let me drag it over here. So there we go. In the amount of $159,894.81, the FY20 AP warrant. AP warrant 1039 dated 8/21/2020 in the amount of $350.42, July merchant service. AP warrant 1040 dated 8/21/2020 in the amount of $711,886.91 for FY21 biweekly AP warrant. Payroll warrant 5 dated 8/28/2020, excuse me, in the amount of $197,225.62, FY21 biweekly payroll. Payroll 5.1 dated 8/28/2020 in the amount of $951.70. FY20 teacher summer payroll, and in parentheses 5. And that is the end of the AP warrant and payroll warrant.
I vote aye.
All in favor? Oh, I guess we need a roll call vote. Michelle, I really hate doing that to you.
That's all right. I'll start from the beginning. Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Item number 6, new business. Item A, presentation of fall athletic programs by Mr. Steve Kindle, our athletic director. And Steve, you are muted.
Yes, I just figured that out. Thank you.
This is the fun part of this, Steve.
Yes, it is. I think I'd be used to it by now after a lot of these. Thank you all for having me here today to talk about finally some answers about athletics for the fall. Last week, the MIAA gave approval to competition for cross-country, golf, and boys and girls soccer. Also field hockey, which we don't have, but those sports were allowed to have competition this fall, with football, cheerleading, unified basketball, and volleyball being moved to what is being called the Fall 2 season, which ironically is happening in late winter, early spring, from late February through late April, with those teams, however, being allowed to practice, possibly being allowed to practice. Our league will be taking up that discussion tomorrow at our athletic directors meeting, where I'll have a lot more answers than I have even tonight. So as you can see in the memo that I put together, we'll be looking for approval to have both interscholastic athletics with cross-country golf, boys and girls soccer, where we'll be competing against a small pod of schools. Now, we don't know what that pod will be yet, but they're going to be designed to limit travel and to keep schools in a geographic area. Now, the benefits of that are limiting bus usage, limiting the amount of travel you have to do, and keeping everybody in a close-knit community. And obviously, the negative to it is that we may be playing schools that are a little bit larger than us, but for this year, as I point out to the coaches, and I kind of point this out every year, it's not really our concern about how many wins and losses you have, although it's nice to have a successful season. It's more about growth in the student athletes on and off the field. So this year will be especially about that, as in the likelihood is we'll be playing at least a couple schools that are a little bit bigger than us in some of these sports. And I wanted to point out, I put a couple studies in here, just the benefits of exercise. I think that's really something that's important during this time, even more so. Normally, student athletes or students in general just need about 60 minutes of exercise per day. A lot of them are not able to get that during this quarantine time, so this gives them the opportunity to do it in a safe atmosphere. We have a really good plan as you read through this of keeping the student athletes safe, both from the MIAA, but also stuff that the Midwatch League and that the district has put in on their own. In terms of the other sports, when we meet tomorrow, I fully expect that the league will approve 2 practices per week starting the week of October 6th for a total of 10 practices during the fall. This would be a volunteer basis for the coaches as their stipended season begins in February. And student athletes, if they chose to participate in one of these practice sessions, they could not compete in another fall sport per the MIAA. So if a student athlete chose to practice with the football team, they could not participate in soccer or cross country or golf. Does anyone have any questions about that portion first? Just what sports are being offered and the pod system. I don't have any answers about the pod system yet, other than it will be probably 5 other schools in the general area.
Steve, I do have a question.
Yep.
As you know, as a spring coach, spring sports lost all of their stuff last spring.
Yes.
So why is you might not know the answer. Why is the MIA making such a big deal to have this 4th season put in and taking more time away from the spring sports that already lost the whole season?
The spring sports will actually not lose it. They're the only season that won't lose time. They are starting 2 weeks later, a few weeks later than normal, but they're also going to be extended to the end of June, perhaps even into July with approval of the state. Obviously has to approve that. But the current plan is to not take too much time away from them. Why they chose that, I don't know. We had proposed a different plan for sports from our league, but the MIA COVID-19 task force chose this one, which I think is a good one as well. It gives every sport the opportunity to participate, hopefully. And I'm hoping that the spring season will be starting in theory on April 23rd, which will be about a month late. But also will be extended. The regular season will extend to the end of June, which is also about a month later than normal. So hopefully they'll get about the same amount of time as they have in the past. And as a former spring coach, and as I was as well, you know that sometimes those mid-March to late March practices are indoors anyway. So
Otherwise, that's a great deal. I have no problem with that. So will the tournament then be in July? Is that what
as of now, they're not committing to any tournaments this year for the MIA. That they haven't ruled any out except for the fall. The fall's the only one they've definitely ruled out. They'll be meeting about the winter sports in end of October to determine what they're going to do with the winter sports. And then season by season, they'll be taking a look at it.
Okay.
I think the hope would be if any sport season can have a postseason this year, I think they'd like it to be the spring, simply because they did lose out on that opportunity last year. There will be the opportunity, I believe, our league, we haven't decided this yet, but it has been discussed that there will be for these other sports, that there'll be a pod playoff. So within your pod, you'll be able to have a playoff within your 5 to 6 team pod, and every team would make the playoffs, and every team would get at least one playoff game. In the team sports. In the individual sports, it's going to be a decision about whether we have a pod championship or they just, the season ends with the last dual meet.
Bryce, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So, Mr. Kendall, I'm assuming then obviously it's not going to be a typical like mid-watch season where you're going to have a mid-watch champion and that kind of thing. It's just going to be among the pod that you're in.
Yeah, and our pod will probably be all mid-watch schools. There's one that possibly could have been in our pod, but I don't think they're going to be offering any sports at all this fall from one of the other leagues. But I think our league will probably be, based on the schools in this area, mostly mid-watch. There may be one not mid-watch team in. This won't be our typical mid-watch E teams. We won't be playing Murdoch and Narragansett, because I don't think any of them are going to be close enough to us to be in that smaller pod. The season will be for golf and cross country will be about the same amount of meets. The soccer season will be a few games shorter.
And then one other question that came through in the chat that I noticed was the question of whether you could play a fall sport and then play a fall 2 season. If
you can.
Okay.
Yes. This is the one year that people could actually be a 4-sport athlete if they chose to. So say someone on the volleyball team decided to play girls soccer, and then they played girls basketball, and then in fall 2 they decided to play volleyball, and then in spring they played softball. They could play all 4 sports. That was clarified by the MIAA last week. So that was a nice little addition for kids who may want to play a sport that maybe they haven't tried before. Or maybe they have tried and just can't do because they're at the same time.
Right. And one final question, and then I'll defer to anyone else. Has there been any discussion about our facilities, meaning like our football field in late February through late April might be difficult to play on? So would there be any consideration to like a local school that has turf that maybe might be in our pod that may just be the host for everything? Or
yes, we've already talked with a couple schools who possibly could be in our pod. Or by football season, my guess would be if there's not a change in the situation, there won't be a football season. And the pods will be dispersed and we'll be playing our traditional schedule. But yes, I've already been in contact with a couple local schools who are more than open to letting us use their turf fields if our field is unplayable, which it very well could be in March. It could be fine depending on what the winter looks like. If we've had with the last 2 winters, we might be okay. But if it's like it was 3 winters ago, we'd probably be in a little bit of trouble.
Right.
But yes, we've had some conversations. I've opened up conversations with a couple schools already, and they are open to the idea. And they're 2 schools that we traditionally play anyway, so it might be a workout that way anyways.
Great. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Oh,
Sure.
go ahead.
Can I just that question that Ms. Granger was asking, I think the qualifying part of that question was if they play the fall 2, that floating season, they can still play even if they don't participate in any of the practices?
Yes, absolutely. They do not have to participate in the practices to participate in fall 2. The practice session is an optional season for them. If they want to join in, they can. If they don't, there's no punishment. Other than we're taking registration, so we know who's going to be at the practices. Obviously, they don't even if they do the practices, then doesn't mean they're committed to playing the sport in fall 2 either. They can certainly change their mind when the time comes.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question, really about the COVID precautions. Can you speak a little bit about what the requirements are around the COVID precautions with sports?
Yes. So within that, there's a link here in the document that brings you to the state mandates. But in terms of the league, we've added in a couple things. One is that each one of our teams will be assigned a cleaning and hygiene bag that the coach will be responsible for. That'll include cleaning spray, paper towels, gloves, wipes, sanitizer, Lysol spray if we can get it, some extra masks, just to be able to clean down. So they're going to be responsible for cleaning down equipment before the game, at halftime of a game or a competition, and at the end of games. And at games, I'll be there as well to help out with that. But at practices, they're going to be required to clean down all that equipment as well. It's going to be one of the coach's responsibilities using that equipment that's provided. And they will be the only ones that are to touch that. So if the bag's going to go outside and the med kit comes outside, only the coaches will be handling those equipment because we want to limit how many people are touching it, obviously. During games, we'll be wiping down the benches before the game, at halftime, and at the end of the game before the JVs come out. There'll be 3 people in attendance from the school. I would be the game administrator, and I would be responsible for the sidelines, the team sidelines, making sure teams are maintaining social distance on the sidelines. They're wearing masks. And cross country, making sure the kids who are not running are wearing masks and maintaining a social distance. Keeping track of the referees, making sure they're wearing their masks. Nate Diffin, our trainer, would be there at every event on school property, so soccer and cross country for the season, and when he can get to it, golf. If there's nothing going on at the school, he can go over to the golf matches to provide athletic trainer services for anyone, and also he has he'll be putting together an area for anybody who may be showing COVID symptoms to put them in until we can arrive. And there'll be a third person that the league is calling a COVID captain who will be there to check in parents and making sure that on the sidelines or in the stands area, that parents will be maintaining social distance, wearing masks, and using the sanitizing stations. We'll be having sanitizing stations at both benches, in 2 spots for cross country for each team, and then 1 for parents that'll be entering. In terms of crowds at the games, we won't be charging any fees to enter the game. The league is making a decision tomorrow on how many passes will be given to each student athlete. I believe in soccer it'll probably be 1 because there's a limit of 100 people at an event per field. So that counts all the players and officials and fans. So an average soccer team has 18 players on it. That's 36 players, 2 referees at 38. Me as the timekeeper, scorer, and game administrator. Nate Diffin, and then the COVID captain, which brings us to 41. It leaves 59 spots for parents. Each family will receive, or each participant will receive at least 1 pass that'll be assigned to their family. That they can give it to any family member, but there'll be a QR code on it as they come in.
Stop writing.
What's that?
It must be nice to have a secretary.
Sorry, guys.
So they'll have a pass as a QR code on it that will scan. That'll give us a list of who is in attendance. So if something should have happened, we could be able to give the Department of Health everyone's contact information.
Great, thank you.
And these policies for cleaning go for practice and games. And they'll be when they practice, they'll be in small pods of 10. So soccer would be in pods of 10 that they would stay in all season. So say we had 20 kids on our varsity soccer team, they would be, when they practice, they'd have to practice in groups of 10 and not mix those, and they would have to stay for the season or until there are changes in what the EEA and the MIA guidelines are.
Steve, I have one more question.
Yeah.
About,
Sorry, Joe.
Who typically cross country is middle schoolers are on the team. Will they be allowed to be participating in the?
That's one of the things we're going to be asking. Did I lose you guys? Am I here?
Nope. No,
All right.
we can hear you.
I froze for a second, so I wasn't sure if I froze permanently. Yeah, that's one of the things we'll be asking from you guys today. If middle school students will be allowed to participate. In athletics.
Can you repeat that? My internet went down for a bit. I missed it.
Yeah, that's one of the areas we'll be asking for you guys input tonight is whether or not middle school students should be allowed to participate in the high school sports.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
May I please? So for the school committee, needs to approve the fall sports of golf, cross country, and soccer. And then, as Mr. Kendall just mentioned and Mr. Leone asked, the school committee would also need to vote on whether the middle schoolers will be allowed to participate in the high school sports. And then the third piece of this presentation tonight in the vote for the school committee is voting to allow students who are in full remote participation, students that are now calling our remote learning academy, would also be able to participate in sports. So I just wanted to frame the presentation around those three votes. Voting one to approve the fall sports of golf, cross country, and soccer. Voting to approve the middle school students will be able to participate in high school sports. And then the third, voting to allow the students in the full remote portion of our educational program this year to participate in the sports. And I would just say I would recommend all three of those. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Kendall.
Thank you, Dr. Malone. Yeah, there might be some caps on rosters in sports like golf, maybe cross country. I don't think cross country will be a problem for us, but for some schools it might be. In terms of traveling, they're going to be limiting the competition numbers in cross country to 20 boys and 20 girls, which I don't think will be an issue for us. We're usually at like between 15 and 17 in both of those sports. Golf will be you can travel with 6. And then you can have 10 at your home match because you usually have a couple alternates, 6 that participate, and then a couple alternates that just play the course and are there just in case somebody gets sick before the match starts. So there will be some limitations on numbers, but nothing I don't think are going to really affect us. Soccer, it's a 22 travel limit because that's what you can fit on a bus. So what would happen if there's varsity and JV? They'd be on different buses. The varsity would take one bus and the JV would take another. And to limit time spent at the field, because those JV participants would be considered fans at the game or participants at the game. If a varsity game was at 3:30 and a JV game was at 5:15, the varsity team would leave at 2:45 and the JV team would leave later, probably around, depending where they were going, 4:30 or 4:45 to arrive for their game. So they could be getting there just as the varsity teams are leaving, and they would remain on the bus or go to another open field, so we would not be breaking any limits on people at events. So in our field, they could go practice on the football field while we were playing soccer games, a soccer match on the soccer pitch.
Mr. Kendall, can you? Oh, so go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I wanted to state in your discussions with some of the other ADs, just to bring up to speed on some of the girls soccer. They understand totally the rule changes that have to be made to accommodate the situation that we're in. But on the girls soccer team anyway, there are a number of asthmatics, my daughter being one, and so far attempting to run and play with we've tried different types of masks, and it's not going all that well. And I know if you've ever had to struggle for breath, you can understand what kind of demand that would put on you. They greatly appreciate the opportunity to operate at any level, but that, if I had to pick one thing that was the wild card in the soccer program, it would be the requirement that they would have to wear masks while playing.
Yeah, I believe there will be a medical waiver for students who cannot wear a mask for medical reasons. They'll just need I believe they'll just need a doctor's note that says they cannot wear a mask for these particular reasons.
That's good news.
That's not 100%, but that has been up in discussions, and it is up, and something we'll be talking about tomorrow, and I know has been brought to the Sports Medicine Committee, so I would expect we have an answer on that sooner rather than later.
Good.
Does anyone else have anything? There is a question in the chat, and I was going to ask you to do this anyway. Just restate, please, when the fall season starts and captains practices and then coaches involved.
So fall season would start on September 18th would be the earliest. That could still change. The MIA could push it back. It originally was September 15th and then September 18th. Possibly could get pushed back to the following Monday, but I think it'll be September 18th. In terms of captains practices, those are not permitted by the MIA, so coaches could not be involved. We cannot officially condone them. If students get together on their own, it's certainly things they can do, but we would strongly encourage them not to do that, especially on school property.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything?
Yeah, I do real quick, Mr. Kendall. So these would be, students would be responsible for getting themselves back to campus at the appointed time?
Yes, just as in a traditional half day, they would be responsible, parents, guardians, or themselves getting themselves back for practice. I know some teams are talking about practicing later in the day. a 5 o'clock practice, at least until Triple E restrictions go in. Hopefully we won't have them, but right now, I've let them know you can certainly practice at 5 p.m. if you wish, at least until we hear differently from the Department of Health about Triple E or any other mosquito-borne illness.
And then practices would not, say you were scheduled to practice every day, it wouldn't be dependent on your cohort, correct? So you
It would not. You would be allowed to participate. The athletes would be considered another pod of students within, and we would be tracking them as we would students who are in school.
All right. Did I read something along the lines that said that students would not be allowed back in the buildings? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's going to be a league thing. We're not allowing anybody in the building except under an emergency. So if like Nate really had to bring somebody in for an emergency situation for an athletic trainer, or if, there was a thunderstorm and the other team's bus left, obviously I would make the executive decision that we're better off spreading them out in the cafeteria and then cleaning it than we are leaving kids out in the middle of a thunderstorm. But we're going to request to the bus companies that buses do not leave this year, especially if there's a risk. I mean, if it's a bright sunny day and there's not a cloud in the sky, fine if you want to go run an errand. But if there's a risk of thunderstorms, we're asking buses to hang around just in case.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Can I
Appreciate
just
those.
piggyback on, I'm sorry, Jonathan, I just wanted to piggyback
No,
before. So I'm assuming that means that students will not be allowed to stay at the school. A lot of times in the past, students would stay, after school got dismissed until the time of their practice and would hang out in the caf or whatever. I'm assuming that's no longer an option and that students
That's
are going
correct.
to be
That's correct, because they have to go back to, they're still technically in school and need to go to their learning online, the remote learning during the afternoon.
Okay. And then just based on Jim's comments, I'm assuming, I know I've read it, but that every sport is requiring a mask while you're participating?
So soccer is the only one that requires one while participating. Cross country, they have to wear one at the start, which they can remove once they've created some distance, and then when they're not running. Golf only has to wear one to the country club and then in the beginning, and then while they're playing, they only have to put one on if they're within 6 feet of another golfer.
Okay, thank you.
And then within football and volleyball and those practices, they have to be masked the entire time.
Anyone else?
So what is the reasoning behind even talking about whether remote would be eligible to play? It seems to me that members of the school, whether they're remote or they're hybrid, and there shouldn't be any question about whether they should be able to participate.
Well, no, I agree with you. The state MIA said we had to get permission on anybody who's remote had to get permission of the school district.
Okay, so
there are other schools that are completely remote that had to get permission to have fall sports while being completely remote. And they just so.
Any other comments or questions? Looking at the order of the requirements and putting them all in one motion. I think the first thing to accept the sports and remote students, including the middle school, it could be done in one nice little general motion if someone can be that clever. If not, we'll do it one at a time.
I think it's sort of important to do them all separately. I think it's to be clear.
Do you want to start off then, Mr. DeForest, since you spoke up?
I will. I stepped into that one, didn't I?
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I make a motion that the Air Shirley Regional School District will participate in fall sports for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Michelle, I think we probably need a roll call for each one then.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Joe,
Frozen.
I don't know if he can hear you.
Can
Joe.
you hear us, Joe?
Yeah, I'm back.
I think he has computer fade.
Am I supposed to be voting?
Yes, please.
Yes.
For sports. Vote for sports. There you go.
Mr. Quincy,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, I will make a motion that the Air Shirley Regional School District allows students who have elected the remote academy option to participate in fall sports.
Second.
Actually, may I amend my? Oh, never mind. That's fine.
Amend it to what?
I was just going to remove the restriction of fall, but
Oh, yeah,
I think
any,
you may have to leave it.
Any sports, yeah.
We'll probably have to do it again, Jonathan,
We have to
because
do it
we're
again,
just doing
Jonathan.
fall sports right now, but
okay. All right, then I'll leave it as is.
Second.
And it's been moved and seconded. Michelle?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
aye.
Mr. Leone,
aye.
Mr. Quincy,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
All right, and
Thank you,
lastly,
everybody. And number 3?
I make a motion that the Air Shirley Regional School District allows middle school students to participate in fall sports as, I'm going to stop there.
Second.
Good.
Does that work, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Been motion second to allow the middle school to participate in the sports.
I seconded it.
And Cheryl seconded.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure. Open
I'm
for discussion.
assuming that that's how we've, as we've always done it, right? Like with the waivers we've had to get and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I will still have to get a waiver for each sport from the league, but they'll be approved. They always, like, we have a need. It's in sports you need it for. So it may not necessarily be every sport, although I think in the fall it will be probably every sport. Just because there'll be kids who generally would have played in the past that may not play the season because of circumstances.
Right. Okay. Yep. Thanks.
I just like to,
Any other discussion on this?
yes. From a equity, I may have a little bit of a problem from an equity standpoint if we have soccer players that are moving up to fill rosters. It doesn't seem entirely fair to me that some 8th graders would be allowed to move up and others won't. That happens in the past from a skill level standpoint, but now it looks like it has been decided that there'll be no middle school soccer teams for the fall. So I think from an equity standpoint, I don't think we should be moving up middle school soccer players to play at the high school because many of their compatriots in classrooms will not have the same opportunity. So cross country is not an issue at all, and neither is golf. Soccer, I think, is a different animal, but I would like to listen to the other committee members think about that.
Mr. Kendall, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I could just add that one of the things we're going to do as well, and once we get fall sports going up, is adding an intramural program at the middle school for kids. And one of the programs that will be offered for that will be soccer, so they have the opportunity to play. And if we don't need middle school students in girls soccer, which is a possibility, we may not need them. We won't bring them in, and I don't think we'll get the numbers big enough where we'd have to limit anyone anyways. That would be my hope. I would not want to say, yes, some kids can come up and some can't. So if we have 30 kids come out for girls soccer between the high school and middle school, that's 15 on each team. That's certainly more than manageable for the coaches. So my hope is we wouldn't be able to say no to anybody. Numbers, there are, like I said, there's going to be caps on teams traveling, which would be 44. I don't think we would get the 44. But if we did, there'd still be the opportunity through the intramural program at the middle school.
So we still have the intramural program at the middle school as we've had before?
This is a new program, but it would be kind of taking the place of the interscholastic. No school in our league is offering middle school interscholastic sports in the fall. So to help to have the middle school kids have something to do for the kids who maybe don't want to play competitively at the high school, or they don't feel like they're ready to play with the high school kids, to be able to have something in the afternoon for them to be able to participate in as well.
And does that help, Mr. Quinty?
It is what it is.
Jesus. Thank you.
We bet.
Any other comments or questions on this? We are on motion number 3 to allow the middle school to come up to the high school. I'm not stating it right, I'm sorry.
I guess as long as it's being conducted the way it's been conducted in the past and high school kids aren't displaced, you want to make sure that the high school kids that want to play, since it is a high school program.
The MIA has rules about if you cannot remove a high school student for a middle school student.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
And those middle school students can only play on the lowest level. So for soccer, that would be junior varsity.
Jim, did you have something else?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody, any questions or comments that they would like before we vote on this motion? Michelle, could you repeat the motion for us?
Me?
Michelle Town.
Sorry.
Mr. DeForge moved that the Ayrshire Regional School District allow middle school students to participate in high school fall sports, seconded by Mrs. Simmons.
Thank you. If you would call the roll for a vote, if no one has any more questions or comments.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
All right.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kendall. We appreciate all your work, and I think it's only going to get more and more.
Thank you. Yep. And like I said, this document will be, I'll update to the blueprint, but it'll be, as we like to say it, we don't put anything in indelible ink right now. Everything's in pencil with a big eraser because it's probably going to change 6 more times before September 18th as well. So.
Well, and I think as much communication as you can do with families, because like someone said, people just want to know what their kids are going to be doing on Tuesday.
Yep, I understand. And we'll be opening up registration soon now that we know we have the approval. And then we're just waiting on a few more league guidelines to put into family ID. So when they register, people will agree to those. And so I'm hoping by the end of the week, we'll have registrations back up on family ID and people can start registering again.
It seems like they took a while to get this together.
Yeah, the MIA was waiting.
Very
A
much.
lot of ways was good because they looked at what other states did wrong and fixed it.
There you go.
But it didn't give us much time to put together a plan once they decided. So
Yeah,
it was
I Can I jump in before we lose Steve? There was a question in the chat. There will be practices for unified basketball in the fall. Did I hear that correctly?
I was just starting to type back to Mrs. Dutton, but they may be able to practice. The likelihood is they will. We're just waiting for the league has to approve it, which will come tomorrow, and they'll be setting protocols. We're looking into possibly purchasing some outdoor portable baskets so we can do practice outside rather than inside the gym, which will be a little bit safer and be able to create a little bit more space. So maybe use the tennis courts or something for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Excellent presentation. I appreciate all your hard work and diligence. And as you stated, it's a lot of work and things change very quickly. And again, adaptability has been the mantra of school districts this summer. So thank you.
And it's all good. We're all working to get the kids something to do and keep them active. And I'm happy to do it. So.
Thank you. Good. We're on to new business. Item B, approval of new positions for the 2021 school year. Dr. Malone.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Tebow, could you please bring up my memo first? Thank you. Back in probably January, February, when I presented the FY20 budget, we had some new positions in the budget. And shortly thereafter in March, we shut down. And of course, we did not move forward. And then with all the uncertainty around Chapter 70 funding and projected reductions of 10 to 20%, I did notify the school committee that we would not move forward with any FY20 positions, FY21 positions until we knew the status of the state budget. Mr. Plunkett informed you at the last meeting maybe or two ago that our impact for the Chapter 70 reduction would be about $50,000 and that we would certainly be able to absorb that into this budget. So tonight I bring to you that I would like to move forward with the 3 positions that I brought to you last winter. And there's one other new position, but first I'll talk about the 3 positions. So we had asked, well, I'll go to the next part of the memo. It says, I am requesting approval of a new position, early childhood autism specialist. The preschool population in need of supportive interventions and strategies due to an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis or suspected diagnosis, representing a diverse community with a population of approximately 40% of all early childhood IEPs. And so we're seeking an individual who has successful experience in working with culturally diverse families and communities. So that would be the new position. So Mike, could you scroll down to the table, please? I brought back to you in the winter adjustment school counselor at Page Hilltop. I presented that the population of Page Hilltop was approaching 500 and that the recommended student counselor ratio is 1 to 250. So the particular counselor that's there now, we've far exceeded that ratio. So that position was funded from the general fund at approximately 62.5. The other position, the digital literacy integration specialist, K through 12, again, after having time now to be thoughtful about, well, we've been thoughtful about the school year all summer, but looking at the hybrid model, which is remote, partially remote, and then of course the full remote, we feel this position is needed. And I'm going to go to the job descriptions in a few minutes. And that position was funded at 62.5, and that was going to be funded from school choice. And then I had brought to you a director of school counseling and coordinator for social and emotional learning. And we have revised that position to be director of equity and school counseling services, same approximation of a salary at 80,000. And that was to be split funded in the general fund at 50,700, and then school choice 29,300. And then the early childhood autism specialist would commensurate with the teacher contract, and that position will be split funded through 2 grants, Title I and IDA 240. So there is no increase or change in the funding sources that were presented to you in the FY21 budget and your approval of that budget. The digital literacy integration specialist, you've had the job descriptions before, but we did add this school year only this person to be a coordinator for the remote learning. Mike, could you just call that job description up, please? Thank you. So you'll see under job responsibilities, we added 2021 school year coordinate and support technology implementation for the remote learning teachers in Seesaw, Google Classroom, and live streaming. And so that would be a change or an addition in the job responsibilities. And then Mike, could you please go to the Director of Equity and School Counseling Services, please? Thank you. So we modified the role summary. The director will collaborate with administration to coordinate the development, implementation, and evaluation of diversity and equity activities, programs, and services in the district. The director will conduct an audit of current practices to identify equity gaps in our practices and work with leadership to address the gaps. The director will lead the district school counseling department to create synergy and coordination of counseling services in the work around equity and diversity, work within the integration of social emotional learning in all classrooms across the district. The successful candidate will have the opportunity to create the vision, systems, and structures to support the district's focus on college and career readiness and social emotional learning. And as far as qualifications, we didn't change those, but could you scroll down, please, Mike, a little further? We were looking for somebody that has extensive experience in diversity and equity work in public schools. And that was what we added there. And then if you scroll down a little more, Mike, to the responsibilities. So under this position, stop there, please. Yeah. Develop a plan for professional learning for faculty and staff in the area of diversity and equity. Thought I added. Work collaboratively with assistant superintendent to enhance the K-12 curriculum and develop instructional materials using resources such as teaching tolerance, facing history and ourselves, Black Lives Matter at school. So those would be the additions to that position. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Dr. Mullen, if we approve this, these would be immediate hires or as
Yeah.
posted soon?
Yes, we'd post them probably tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anyone else, any questions or comments?
I think my only concern is like, I think we can, make very good use. I think it's planned out very extremely well as far as what we can do with people in these positions. My really only concern is that the Commonwealth projections and intakes across the board are not doing well. And I know it's early in the year to be worried about the FY 21-22 budget, but I have grave concerns over how quickly the economic conditions in the Commonwealth will change and what the net effect will be when we start to put next year's budget together. So that's really my only concern.
Sure. Mike, could you go back to the memo, please, if you don't mind? And then, I'm sorry, go ahead. I think Mr. Loney was going to speak. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think this position that you put in there with equity and counseling, I think that is an outstanding position. I think it's something that is in this day and age and these times is extremely necessary. And I'm hoping that our equity and diversity subcommittee can work closely with this person to provide, the education and programs that we need to keep our kids safe with respect to equity.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Malone, there is a question in the chat that maybe you can clarify. Is this a teaching position, a counseling position, or a leadership position?
It's a director position, leadership.
Yeah. Leadership.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Michelle, did you, Ms. Granger, were you going to say something?
Nope. Thank you.
Sorry. Just was trying to keep track of everybody. But, yeah, so I probably am going to follow up on Jim with, do we see the funding being available as we go out from here for these positions for the next budget year?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. So I would look at the two general funds. So if you look at the 62.5 and the 57, so we would anticipate that we would continue to fund these positions as presented to you this evening. So the 62.5 and the 50, so it would be about $100,000 increase in the general fund as we were to move forward to look at the positions for FY22.
And so on the autism specialist, on the autism specialist, those grants, we're pretty sure they're going to continue anyway, right?
Oh, yes, Title I.
And we're in the middle of them.
Yeah, Title I and IDA are entitlement grants. There's always a risk that, funding could decrease in those grants. And, unfortunately, if that might be the scenario, then we would have to make adjustments in our budget, certainly.
It's just a tricky time, that's all. Cheryl?
Oh.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Oh, wait, one more question in the chat, just around the process of making sure that we hire an effective person, because the need is so great for that leadership position in equity and counseling. Can you maybe briefly touch on how the process is for hiring for those that might be listening and interested?
Well, we have a standard hiring process in the district, and when we have new positions, we post them internally for 5 days, and then we post them on School Spring. And the position might be, so for example, the early childhood autism specialist, that would be under the direction of Mary Beth Hamill. So she would be the person that would receive the applications. And at some point, there's a committee that would vet applications and determine who has the qualifications and who would be interviewed. Then typically a committee would be formed, and interview committee would conduct the interviews and make recommendations.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
There was just one other question that just popped in.
Please.
Does the diversity and equity position address the inclusion of LGBTQ students?
Yes.
And I think that's sort of our theme has been for a couple of years now, at least. All means all, right? So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions on these positions or the funding? In which case I would entertain a motion to approve the list of the 4 positions listed in the source tonight: the adjustment school counselor, digital literacy integration specialist, director of equity and school counseling services, and early childhood autism specialist.
I'll make a motion that we approve these 4 positions as presented in the memo from Dr. Malone this evening.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments or questions from anyone?
I just one quick one. Sorry, and if you covered it, I do apologize. For the early childhood autism specialist, that would be a union position, or would that be just commensurate with their pay scale?
Yeah, no. The salary would just, the comment is that whatever qualifications or education, that person would have, we align it to the teacher contract salary scale.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else from anybody? Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
All right.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. It passes unanimously. Item C is the approval of the 2021 student handbooks. Mr. Clary, please.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mike, can you pull up the 6C handbook memo?
And I really like the fact that it had 54 pages that I didn't print out.
That's good. Well, in the interest, we try to be efficient as much as we can. So thank you for letting me present on behalf of the principals this evening. As you know, each year we come back in the fall with the request for approval from the handbook for both of our handbooks, both the pre-K to 8 handbook and the high school handbook. This year I wanted to put each of the pieces in a memorandum. That way you wouldn't have to scroll through all of the pages of the handbook in order to figure them out. So I tried to identify the areas that we're focused on. Given the nature of the information, one important piece to note, and I put this in the memo, is that in light of where we are with COVID, with the pandemic, and all the guidelines that we've received over the, since June from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and then the Neshoba Boards of Health, and also alignment with the protocols and such that are aligned with the CDC. We've included a number of these policies in our blueprint, which everyone is familiar with. It's posted on our website, and we're updating that consistently. So what we've done in the handbook is we've put a disclaimer in our handbooks to link these 2 documents together. So wherever in the handbook there are specific elements that are referenced in terms of policies within the blueprint, we've made note of those, but with a page number and a link to the document, to the blueprint. That way people inextricably will see the link between the blueprint and the handbooks that we have. For the ease of your review, we labeled all of the new text in red for people to kind of scroll through it if they needed to. I mean, Mike has both copies of the handbook and he can pull those up if we need to reference those. But what I'm requesting this evening is for the school committee to vote to approve both of these school handbooks, the pre-K to 8 2021 student parent guardian handbook, as well as the Air Shirley Regional High School 2020-2021 student parent guardian handbook. And just to summarize a few of the pieces that I've referenced here, each year we go through and we make some of our traditional changes such as school year references, pagination, school names, phone extensions, name of staff members. The letters from principals are updated, the meal pricing, and so on. Those pieces are updated each year. Between the handbooks, we identified a number of common changes. So the handbook in years past, it was referred to as the student parent handbook. We wanted to make sure that we were inclusive and included guardian in the title. We have the link that I had shared at the beginning about the linking the handbook to the return to school blueprint in each of the principal letters. So you'll see a declaration statement that shows how these two documents are linked. And some of the areas that show up for that specifically are in the health services sections regarding masks and mask wearing. So those protocols and types of masks and the response that the school systems will have in the event that students are not wearing masks appropriately are listed in the blueprint, and these are referenced in the handbook. Renee Payne, our nurse leader, had gone through and made some updates to the immunization sections to show the different timelines for immunization and vaccination to make sure that these were accurate in both handbooks. In addition, the new references that are identified in the blueprint are also linked here. Hand sanitizer, in terms of the use of the hand sanitizer, this is included at the end of the handbooks because the expectation is that families, that students will be able to use hand sanitizer during the school day. In the event that families, we learned information from legal authorities that in the event that families wish to opt out, they have to sign off on a form for this. So that's been included in both of the handbooks. Bus transportation, which is articulated in the blueprint in terms of all the processes. Mike, can you scroll down a little bit? That's good. Scroll up just a little, just so I can see the top of that, the bottom of that page. No, other way. A little bit more. See the bus transportation. There you go. Got it. So the bus transportation pieces that were outlined in the blueprint, we've linked these into the handbooks. Both the hybrid and remote schedules for each of our schools are linked in each of the documents as well. You may recall from last spring when we went to a remote learning environment and our teachers were using video conferencing with our students, we had statements that we included in norms for student participation. So we've included these in the technology sections of our handbook, since we'll be continuing to use video conferencing as part of our process. We align the wording between the high school and the middle school in the dress code pieces, and you'll see these changes in page 20 and page 35. And we also added a digital sign-off in the handbook through the process of a Google form. For those parents who still wish to use the print version, they can print out a version for themselves. They can obtain a print version from the school to sign off on. In addition, there are specific changes that are outlined. In the high school handbook, there were the grade weighting system was included, which is essentially showing how the grade point average is determined for different grades that students would receive, and also the promotion and graduation criteria that are articulated in the program of studies. We've added that to make sure that it's presented in our handbook. In the pre-K to 8 handbook, there were specific changes we made, and these are largely due to COVID-related pieces. So with the arrival locations, specifically in the middle school, and bathroom passes for the middle school, because this was included in the addendum. So I've identified the pages for those. And then finally, also in the middle school section of that handbook, there was an addition of restorative justice as an option in the disciplinary process. And also for cell phone usage, specifically a practice that they had used last year, which was in students who students are expected to keep their cell phones in their lockers. And in the event that there's some sort of violation of that, then they would be left in the offices, which is very similar to the practices that are used in the high school. So the changes that are articulated here are reasonably straightforward and didn't change significantly the essence of the handbooks, the ones that you had approved in the past. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but I do want to thank each of our principals and the assistant principals for their contributions to the changes in the handbook, as well as with Renee Payne as well, our nurse leader. So with that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So I just had one, as I skimmed through the high school handbook this evening. The mask policy seemed a little, it was clear, but it seemed like it could maybe be a little bolder and like less wordy, or like maybe bullets to say what a mask can or can't be, right? Because we define that a mask can't be one of the neck gaiter types or with the exhaust port, but it seemed like it kind of got buried in the middle of the paragraph. So I don't know if maybe that's just like a bulleted for what it can and can't be, but I don't know if that makes it any clearer or not, especially where masks could be a point of contention, but something we all need to get used to going into the school year. That was really my only feedback. Otherwise, as usual, very well done. Thank you.
In terms of the wording for that mask piece, that was taken directly from the blueprint that's posted. So that is, I appreciate the feedback on that, and that's something that I can look at. I think the challenge is that we try not to, I'm trying, whatever wording we're using from the blueprint, I want to make sure that that's reflected in the handbook. And so I'm trying not to make changes into the handbook. So I can look at that in terms of where we make the changes. I just want to make sure that it is similar no matter what we do. But thank you for that feedback.
No, and
Jonathan, if I may, so that's good feedback. So we can go back to the blueprint, which we sent out to parents, and we can adjust the language so it's more specific and gives clearer language around the mask wearing. So that's fine, not a problem.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't have a problem with the language. I think it was more just the formatting that it needs to, that the requirements themselves, like, so there's some preamble there about why we need to wear masks and what they should be made of or whatnot, but then there's some specific on what are allowed and not allowed. And I think just those need to be kind of called out in a more clear section. That's all.
And one of the things that I also, and I did, honestly, I didn't get to it this week, but to describe what 2-ply and 3-ply means too, because I don't know if everyone, to give a clearer understanding of what a 2-ply and 3-ply is, I would make that change.
You could also just bold that sentence. Just, once this is in regular text, it's going to now be the same color as everything else. So maybe bolding it or something just to highlight it. But I agree that defining 1 to 3-ply might be good too.
Thank you for that.
The other thing, noting that parents are going to have to sign off on the use of hand sanitizer. And so we've added that under the digital sign off as well. If parents didn't want their children using it.
I think from our health study, there is soap and water available everywhere. So I'm sure kids will prefer one over the other.
I had a question, Charlie. I missed, my internet went bonkers again. I missed your, the cell phone usage. I've always had issues with punishment being not fitting the crime. If cell phone usage is the issue, then deal with cell phone usage in the classroom. But I think that there are really good reasons why kids should have their cell phones either in their backpacks or on their person, especially in this day and age. And I've always believed that, even back in the early 2000s when they were just first new. If you don't want them using them in class, you need to make sure you discipline that. Telling every kid they can't bring it into class because some kids text or use it, I don't think is getting at the heart of the problem. And so I'd like to see that looked at again.
Mr. Loney, the way I totally understand that, and I think it was the way that it's worded in the handbook is indicative of after multiple offenses, that if a student is continuously using their cell phone inappropriately, then that cell phone would be placed or secured in the main office.
Okay, so they're allowed to have them, but if they have multiple offenses, then they need to be left in the office or somewhere else.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I kind of have a follow-up question to that. If we've talked about, I was under the impression we weren't using lockers as much this year at the high school and the middle school. Everything was going to be sort of self-contained. Did I misinterpret that, or is it that the intent is to still use lockers?
I'll answer that. I can answer that.
Sure.
If you don't mind. So the high school, they haven't been using them, and I know Mr. Quinty raised that last year. So that'll work this year. But I think at the middle school and even at Laura White, Page Hilltop doesn't have lockers, that they would have a system where we have the hybrid model and half a class coming in, that the students, there would be a procedure for students to go to their locker and then be physically distanced, and so they could use their lockers and store their jackets and things in there.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Anyone else? And I'm sure this could be an ongoing comment. I'm thinking that you need to have these approved before the first day of school. Is that right, Mr. Cleary?
Yes, before students arrive. That's typically why we do it either at the last meeting of the summer or the first meeting, in this case, of the school year.
Anyone else have any other comments?
I would just say that we will be sending this out in the communication that was sent out to families today. This will be sent out to parents next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Seeing no one else, I would accept a motion to approve the 2021 student handbooks at the K through 8 level and at the high school.
So moved.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Second. I was trying to find my mute button.
It's been moved and seconded. Michelle Town, please, if you could call our roll, please, for us.
Mr. DeForge,
Aye.
Mrs. Granger,
Aye.
Mr. Leone,
Aye.
Mr. Quinty,
Aye.
Mrs. Reshoots,
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons.
Aye.
Thank you, Michelle. So it's unanimous and you have handbooks to start.
Excellent. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cleary.
Hard to have that much fun, isn't it, Mr. Cleary? Okay. We're on to item number 7, Superintendent's Report, Reopening of Schools. Dr. Malone?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And usually I type you out a long report, but I'm going to present it verbally this evening. First, I'd like to speak about the school opening for the teachers. Our teachers were welcomed back yesterday, and it was very successful. Of course, our teachers entered our building, some with, some anxiety and nervousness and wondering what it would be like inside the buildings and what classrooms would look like in corridors and such. And they were quickly relaxed, if you will. It was not our usual celebration, where, as you all well know, that we have a formal convocation, but that was not going to be this year. I want to thank Chair Joyce Reshoots. She came in the morning and she spoke to the staff prior to my speaking, and she did an excellent job talking about courage, and we connected to, hope and fear can be, the same feeling, and really what are we going to let in? We can't have both at the same time. So it was really a good connection about courage and fear and hope. And then we had a keynote speaker. Her name is Lynn Lyons. She's a licensed social worker, and she provided an excellent presentation. It was entitled Managing Uncertainty in Uncertain Times, the Skills That Need Our Attention Now. And it was really, really powerful and engaging and informative. And what I really liked about it, and I hope others would agree, when she talked about anxiety, she used, anxiety was, she created a metaphor, and she talked about how anxiety seeks two things: comfort and certainty. And she talked about how we can manage what anxiety seeks from us, that it isn't always about comfort and certainty, and, wanting to have certainty and wanting to be comforted when things are bothering us, and a better way to manage our anxiety. So it was directed at the teachers, and it also connected students and students returning to school. So it was really good. We served breakfast and lunch to our staff, and I want to commend Sue Parker and her team. Everything was individually wrapped, and Salads were in containers. It was a really nice presentation. And so it was a good day. It was quiet. It was eerily quiet. But teachers came back again today. So that's a good sign. So I think the district should be proud that our teachers came back, that I want to commend Bill Plunkett for his work all summer long around safety in our buildings and working the transportation piece. Mary Beth Hamill working on the preschool and kindergarten and writing grants. We had the 3 new grants come up this summer that had really short turnaround applications in a time frame. Meg Tebow, of course, he's on this meeting tonight. He hasn't stopped working since March 13th, him and his team. As you know, they, redistributed Chromebooks to everyone in the district and, providing training and such. Robert Briggs for all of his work with his team and preparing the buildings and doing all of the assessments of an HVAC system and windows working and sinks and hot water. And all, I mean, it's just the teachers coming back and really being calm and relaxed and trusting and confident is due to this team. Tara Bozak on the special education piece, managing, calling, speaking personally with families and reassuring them of the programming moving forward. And then Assistant Superintendent Charlie Caleri, all his work and support in the central office for many things that were on our plate. And particularly to Mr. Cleary and Mr. Tebow, who have also done a great job on the professional development piece that we're offering to teachers over the next 10 days. And our framework for our professional development is on technology, social emotional learning, synthesizing the in-person teaching with remote teaching, health and safety, implicit bias. And I would be remiss not to recognize nurse leader, Renee Payne. Has been spending the last 2 days, and I think tomorrow she's going to finish up. She's done health and safety presentations to every single staff member. We've live streamed it for those members that weren't able to be present, and she's done an excellent job. When you do a presentation and you don't get a lot of questions, that means the presentation was clear, succinct, understandable, and people are able to feel comfortable with the protocols that are in place around the health and safety and COVID-19 in our building. So again, you're only as good as your team, and this team, I cannot thank enough, and the work, the hard work, all summer long. It's been 24/7, and they really need to be commended and thanked. Secondly, I did send a parent newsletter out today, and it had a lot of information in it around opening of schools. Tomorrow night, we're hosting a parent virtual meeting so that we can give access to as many families as possible. We're going to focus on we're going to be focusing on, what's in the communication today. People need further clarification around remote learning, the hybrid model, or anything that's in it. And also, Renee Payne is going to do a presentation for parents on the health and safety and the COVID protocols in our buildings tomorrow night. I named it. It's in the, give me 1 second, please. As you know, when we went into this emergency remote learning format back in March, parents didn't have training, students didn't have training, and teachers did their best. So Mr. Tebow and his team is going to host Navigating Technology in the Remote Environment. And that's going to be Thursday, September 10th. And then I've also, we've worked with Lynn Lyons, and she's going to do a presentation to families on Tuesday, September 15th. And that workshop is going to be entitled, Now What? The Skills Parents Need in a Time of Uncertainty. So I think parents will be about an hour and a half. She's very engaging. And I think parents it'll be really helpful as we open a new school year on September 16th. Mike, I want to talk about a little bit about enrollment. Could you call up the enrollment memo, please? So I thought I'd give this school committee what our enrollment numbers look like at this time as compared to hybrid and remote. Do you see it, Mike?
I do. Yep. Just having a little bit of a delay.
Oh,
My
okay.
connection.
I just wanted to make sure it was in there. Thank you. One other thing while we're waiting for Mike, talking about the return to school blueprint, it is a living document. We sent it out to families today and we marked the sections that were updated. One example would be masks. We've updated preschool schedule. We updated the local context of the COVID-19 cases. The information on mask wearing and the type of masks is new. And we updated our food security. One of the things that I should mention is that Bill, do you want the USDA, all lunches, breakfast and lunch will be free? Is it through December, Mr. Plunkett?
Yes, through December 31st.
Yeah. So that's going to help with our whole processes about, having to collect money and names and all that, right, Mr. Plunkett? So that'll help. We update that now when I return to school.
Yeah, that means all meals are free. We get reimbursed on the free rate for all those meals.
Yeah, thank you.
If you just expound on that a little bit, Mr. Plunkett.
It's called the Seamless Summer option, and it's a program. There's one or two programs that the Department of Ed runs for summer programs and districts that may not have the nutrition program available at all schools, and they have to have like a satellite place, but it allows you to have all your meals reimbursed. So every meal that we distribute to remote kids, to kids that are in school, grab and goes, taking them home, we will be reimbursed at the free rate.
Thank you.
Is that for students that are regular or just regular price or just free and reduced?
It's for all students.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's what we had up, through. We didn't know if it was going to be extended, but that was this past the whole COVID time and through the summer. That was the regulation.
Thank you.
Well, I can, so I'll talk about, I guess, wait for Mr. Tebow. He's having a little bit of technical difficulty. The memo was in the drive. And so looking at Laura White, 138 students that will be in the hybrid model from each grade level, the that opted for the full, the hybrid, excuse me, for a total of 238. And then in the remote, you will see that 93 total opted for the full remote option. We're calling it our Remote Learning Academy. And you can see the numbers. So our total enrollment Laura White is 331. Page Hilltop, 314 students will participate in the hybrid model compared to 144 in the remote for a total enrollment at Page Hilltop for 458. Scroll down, please. The middle school, 324 students are participating in the hybrid model, 26 students. The high school,
What, on the ball?
No, I didn't.
260 students will be participating in the hybrid model at the high school, and then 101 will be in the full remote option for a total of 361 students at the high school. As it stands right now, we have 1,136 hybrid and 440 students remote. 25 total students is 1,576. Next, I wanted to show you some of the withdrawals for this year. So at the high school, we had 23 students that went to Neshoba Tech or the Parker Charter School. We had 3 students that went to Parker from the middle school. They enter the Parker Charter School in 7th grade. We had 8 students attend a private school from the high school. 2 students at Laura White and 1 at Page Hilltop. And then we had students that moved out of district, 3 at the high school, 4 at the middle school, 8 at Laura White, and 16 at Page Hilltop. And the choice out numbers, 3 from the high school, 3 from Laura White, 4 from Page Hilltop, none at the middle school. And then homeschooling, we have 1 family at the high school, none at the middle school, 4 at Laura White, and 8 at Page Hilltop. So enrollment changes, you can see the high school numbers. So really, from July to now, the high school, the decrease of 30 is because when we roll over our student information system, those students that went.
We just lost you, Mary.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I said the high school, the enrollment changed from July 28th until September 1. That number of 30 students are the students that went to Neshoba Tech or Parker. And we just didn't have them pulled out of our student information system. The high school, the middle school, 2 students have unenrolled or since July 28th through September 1st. Laura White, we've had 1 student, and then the Page Hilltop, we've had 8. So I wanted to give you those numbers. I will keep updating those numbers when school opens on the 16th. I'll wait for the week to be over, and then probably look at the following week, and I'll bring you those numbers at that following school committee meeting. So, any questions on anything on that piece?
So can I just ask a quick question? So with these numbers, with the split between the hybrid and the remote, so what are we looking at for like average teacher to student ratio in our hybrid classrooms? Do we know that?
So I don't have that exact number, Michelle. I'll get it to you. So our average class is around 22. So if you could scroll back up to the page, to the elementary model numbers, please, Mike. Thank you. So let's look at Laura White. So 44 students in kindergarten are hybrid, and 12 are remote. Between those 3 classes, what we've done at the elementary is we've assigned a teacher for remote learning. So in some instances, we may have, depending on the numbers, I could go over to the 1st grade, for example, at Page Hilltop. We have a teacher that is a 1st grade teacher that will be teaching the students remotely. So that's how we're able to create an in-district remote program, by using our teachers looking at our hybrid numbers. So back to your question, which was how many will end up. So you might have, if you have 37 or 57 hybrid students among 3 classrooms, so 57 divided by 3 is a little under 20. And so half of those students with show-ups will be about 10. So we're anticipating between 8 and 10 in many of our classes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, should I go on? Okay. Mike, do you want to pull up the Board of Health report, please? So I just wanted to share with the committee, the Board of Health toured with us August 25th, last Tuesday. And there were a number of us on the tour, school committee members, Michelle Granger and Joyce Rayshoots, and Steve Telly, union president. So I put this in the drive to just give you a report from Mr. Greffy, who is the director of public health. And so he gave us a really good report, and felt that the building was aligned with the guidance submitted by the Department of Education and aligned to the blueprint. So at the very end of this, he did talk about that we would maybe look at some temporary screening in some of the windows. He also gave us advice about opening our dampers 100%, which we'll be doing. So we're very pleased that we got a good report. The HVAC report is also in the drive from MPC, and that was also a good report. The middle school and high school HVAC systems are functioning at their at their optimal level. At Laura White and Page Hilltop, those HVAC systems are functioning, but we do need to replace or repair some of the fans. Being an older HVAC system, it's driven by small fans throughout the building rather than newer buildings which have units on the rooftop. So we've got good reports. Our schools are safe. Lastly, on facilities, we're replacing or repairing 39 windows at the middle school. That work is expected to begin within the next 2 weeks. They had to order parts. The high school parking lot has been completed. We added 34 regular spaces and 2 handicap spaces. And the town did ask us if we would add some shrubbery for the aesthetics, and we're working on that. Page Hilltop, we're working on the boilers still, replacing the steam boiler room and modifying the gas line to a new location. The curbing in front of the Page Hilltop has been completed. I don't know if you've been by or not. It looks really good. We did replace it with the granite curbing. Tents have been set up at all schools and will be inspected by the towns tomorrow. And I think, Mr. Plunkett, did you want to add anything else about facilities that I may not have mentioned?
No, I think you touched upon everything. The tents, the one at the middle school is going up tomorrow. That's the last one. And we have the permits are in the works. And like you said, we're meeting with the fire chiefs and the building commissioners to do like a walkthrough of the tents.
Okay. And that completes my report. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone? I would like to make a comment on this, if I might. It was very interesting walking with the Board of Health and seeing what he was emphasizing, and everything was very good, or if it was in progress to be good momentarily. I know you're never supposed to have like a snapshot decision or reference to something because you don't know the whole story. But when I saw 2 of our administrative staff delivering boxes to Laura White of supplies, I think that said a lot without going further into that. Everybody was kicking in, everybody was working, everybody was doing it, and it was really very, very good. Does anybody else have any comments or anything? Okay. Thank you, Mary. We know this is going to go on and on. I know we debated reopening schools as being the title of that, but I think it's going to be there probably for quite a while.
Yes, I will provide you updates every school committee meeting, certainly.
Okay, we're to item number 8, ongoing business. Mr. Leone, if you want to present the mask anti-racism resolution and speak to that, please.
The Equity and Diversity Committee subcommittee took a look at the MASC's version of this that they asked all schools to approve. And when we got this, their version of this on August 6th or something to that effect, we decided that we would send it to our Equity and Diversity Subcommittee to look at. I'm pleased to say that at our last meeting, which is a little under 2 weeks ago, we had a very diverse group of parents and school administrators and teachers that took a look at the MASC document, and we are bringing back for approval. Maybe this is just a first read. I don't know all the protocols, but
Joe, we lost you.
We lost audio, yeah.
Sentence involved in this that we were unable to get a good enough wording to, and I kind of made a decision that that was not as important to the document because we didn't really all agree to it, but it's something that I need to bring up, and if it's the will of the people that we added in, then we need to figure out a way to word it. But there were things in the MASC document that we had issues with, and one of the major things was that they wanted us to be responsible for other schools and their equity and diversity with respect to students. And we did not feel that that was something that we could sign off on, that we would be responsible for what other schools do. Certainly we would be willing to help and in any way, but that it was going to be a major part of our plans was not something that we could agree to. So this is what we came up with. These are the wordings that you can see, and if you want to compare to the old one, what they were, I thought it was an excellent meeting. I thought people contributed, people offered opinions, offered changes, offered expertise, and this is what we came up with.
Joe, your internet unfortunately cut out right around the time where you were explaining a change that you may or may not want to include. Could you go back to that if you don't mind?
Yeah, in the resolve part, where it says that the Air Shirley Regional School District must guarantee that racist practices are identified, addressed, and eliminated. In our school, they wanted us to also say that we would guarantee that they would be eliminated in all schools, not in our district, in other districts as well. And we didn't feel that that was something that we could put into our document, that we would therefore be the police of other school districts, and to make sure that they were complying.
Yeah, was there something else before that one though? That maybe your committee didn't agree on, or that
there were some word changes that we put in there. I don't have the notes in front of me to show exactly what the old document looked like and what the new document looked like. This is what the new document looks like, obviously. But I don't have the old one in front of me to know exactly what it said. But we, the committee all agreed on these things. We didn't agree on wording for the how to include the other schools, and so we left it out. And it's not something that we're opposed to putting in, but we felt that there would be something to the nature that we would certainly help other school systems any way we could, but we were not going to be responsible for making sure that they comply.
Joe, do you think that they were trying to refer to kids from other districts when they are on our campus? Is that what it looked like before, or just? No,
that's not what it looked like to us. I mean,
okay.
People were at the committee, and certainly not, I can speak for myself, it did not look like that to me. It looked like they wanted us to be the police of everywhere, and there's a comment in the chat that said it makes sense to include holding peers accountable for their actions, and I don't have any problem with helping them and holding them accountable, letting them know that they're doing stuff. But again, I don't want to make a guarantee that that's something that we're going to be out there looking for and doing and whatever.
So I happen to be at that meeting as well, and it seems like, even in the whereas paragraphs, we limited it just to our district as opposed to other schools in the Commonwealth. It just was the consensus of the subcommittee that they wanted to focus on our school district and what we can control, as opposed to other school districts, because there's plenty there, you know, several, as you know, that have adopted this for their own schools. And I think our subcommittee was looking to just restrict the language to be what was in our power to control. And I do want to also point out that the bold text is what was changed or added.
Right.
If I may, I was just looking at the original, and it said that we must ensure, I think it's the last sentence, we must ensure our own school culture and that of every district in the Commonwealth is anti-racist, that acknowledges that all lives cannot matter until Black lives matter. So I think that's the part maybe you're talking about that you took out, in that of every district of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, it was something in the resolved paragraph too, I thought.
Yeah, there was
That's
other
the last
places
statement.
that was in there.
Yep, that's the last statement that I think that you changed, yeah.
So I'll just say that I am very much in favor of the removal of the word eradicated and changed to identified, addressed, and eliminated. I think it's I like the words better. I'm not exactly sure how to say this correctly, but I think that you can't, if you don't identify it, you can't eradicate it. So to be clear and say that we're going to do all three is a good change. And so I thank the committee for their work on this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I had a number of marks on my copy just for edification. I'd like to hear what other people think on like the whereas thing. I never, on working documents for policy stuff, I never really liked that. I just find it archaic, and I kind of always like we declare better. And especially in the first paragraph where you start out, whereas as, that alliteration isn't really helping anyone. That may just be a style point for me. In the fourth paragraph, our district will examine policy for institutional and systemic racialized practices and implement change with sustainable policies that are evidence-based. And I crossed out sustainable policies that are evidence-based and put as necessary, because I think a lot of the things that we're going to end up doing is new ground and restricting ourselves that's already evidence-based. I think part of the reason that we're in the problem is that the issue hasn't been addressed at all, so there's not going to be a lot of background stuff. So I think getting rid of the evidence-based reference allows you more freedom of thought and allows you to be more creative. The following paragraph, I changed to synchronously incorporate our curriculum with the history of racial oppression with works from diverse perspectives. That would include Black authors. It would include authors from Pacific Rim, Native American. So instead of just sticking with our standard Shakespeare and the rest of our English friends, we'll be able to get a good sampling across the world. The next paragraph, whereas we, and this may be a semantic point, we as school district leaders can no longer remain silent to the issues. I crossed out remain silent, and I put in silent, I put ignorant, because I think remain silent to me means we're totally aware of what's going on and we're down with it. We're just going to like swallow and move along forward. And I think on a lot of the stuff here, I think in the last couple of years, from Kaepernick to everything that we're seeing today, I think many people were totally ignorant of the depths of where we were. So I think it more accurately reflects where we are. And ignorant also means that you have a lot of catching up to do to try to come up to speed. So I think that's a more adequate reflection of where many of us find ourselves. In the next paragraph, I changed the district must guarantee. And since this is our resolution, I think I'd rather state it more emphatically, saying that the Air Shirley Regional School District guarantees, and just move forward with that. In the end, our inclusions are embedded in practice for our students, families, faculty, and staff. On policy stuff, you know, we like to involve with the community and do what we can, but really policies, we have no control over what happens in some of our families. We work with families as much as they kind of want to be worked with. We can, however, strongly work with students, faculty, and staff. So I struck the word families. And I really didn't know what to do with the last sentence. I find it a little redundant, because I think the work that was done on the previous stuff is fairly inclusive. Those were my comments on what I would consider this to be a first read. And if we could take some of those comments back to our subcommittee and see what they feel about those comments, and then maybe bring it back for a second read. I don't really think I'm ready to make a vote on the resolution tonight. Thank you.
Joe, do you wish to comment on that?
I think that I agree with that we should get a list of your changes, Jim, and I'll bring it back to the committee and the subcommittee, and we will discuss that and bring it back again in 2 weeks.
That's great.
Joe, just to back up what Mr. Quincy said, I think the word silent is still needed. Being ignorant and being silent are two different things. And so maybe to include both of those, that as a district, we won't ignore either of those. We won't remain silent or ignorant.
I concur.
So Jim, can you somehow get me a copy of the changes that you just suggested, because I certainly didn't write them all down.
I'll see you at Ruby's.
That sounds good to me.
And if I may, so for the school committee purposes, we'll have Michelle mark this as the first read, and then when the diversity and equity subcommittee works on it, and then we'll mark it as a second read to follow the school committee protocols. Is that agreeable?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a policy, but I think as many drafts as we need to get through this until it's good is fine by me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate that.
So if I summarized and say that we're going to mark this for first read, and Joe, you're going to take it back to your when is the subcommittee meeting again? I would like to just go into your subcommittee.
I'm not sure we can fit it on our agenda on Thursday. As you know, there are other issues that we'll be discussing. So if we can fit it in, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, it might not be for another couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Anybody else on anything about the resolution?
I'd just like to say that I'm glad we're bringing it back to the subcommittee. As I said, I was on that meeting, and there was a lot of thought that went into the changes that were made. So I'd just be hesitant to be making changes to it without further discussion from the subcommittee. So I'm glad we're involving them and bringing it back to them again.
Thank you, Michelle.
And thank you for all the work.
Right.
And just so they don't think that we're ignoring them, there was a question in the chat, and I'm asking them if they can bring that to the meeting on Thursday so that we can discuss that there. The question from CL was, how will implicit bias and microaggressions that are so prevalent in the education system going to be identified, documented, and eliminated to ensure equity for students and families who belong to groups which are traditionally marginalized? In short, how can you put this declaration into actionable change? And that might be something that we need to actually add into the document somehow. So so I appreciate that comment, and if you could bring that Thursday to our meeting, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Joe, one more thing. You might want to say publicly what time your meeting is on Thursday and how to access the There's a-
7 o'clock, it's a Zoom meeting, and I think you can get the link through Michelle Town. Is that correct, Michelle?
That's correct. The meeting agenda was posted with both the towns of Air and Shirley today, and it's also posted on our website, or you could email me for the agenda as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Joe. Do you want to go straight into the Diversity and Equity Subcommittee report?
Sure. I'm just going to report on our last meeting because there's too much else that's been going on that I don't believe that I want to talk about at this point. We will be talking about these things on Thursday. But our last meeting I thought was outstanding. Michelle LaFlamme, one of the co-chairs, and Erica put together a tremendous plan, and we had a great discussion about an issue. And the issue was basically being white and how that affects you, how you affect racism. And we talked about how growing up, what things affected us in our development of our thoughts and our ideas around racism, around race. And people had a lot of good things to offer. And we were looking at some specific questions that, to lead us into our discussion. Michelle is doing a great job of putting together a plan for us to follow. And it's almost like being at a workshop. And I'm just thrilled how that particular meeting went, and I'm kind of looking forward to this next one, and I really hope that it's not
Froze. Joe, you froze.
Joe was the master cliffhanger on that one.
Joe, you froze.
You froze, Joe. We're missing the last 3 sentences.
Oh.
You said, I'm really hoping that the next meeting, and then you froze.
Okay. I just really hoping that the next meeting doesn't turn into, a venting meeting. I want us to continue our work in a positive manner. And I know that the people have opinions about things that have happened in the past week, and I think there are strong opinions there. But this committee is not the place for those things to be vented. Our work in our subcommittee is to find solutions, to find ways to educate, to find ways to help students and faculty and staff deal with all of the things that we're dealing with around race issues and equity and diversity. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I thought our last meeting was excellent, and I want to continue with that work.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much, and good work and a step forward. Fantastic. Policy, if everybody has any other questions for Joe or comments? Sorry, I kind of bowled ahead. Mr. Quinty, anything from the policy subcommittee?
No, we're still on the audit and council. I guess we said that we would hold that till we were back in person in session. So whenever that happens,
we're going to have some work on the 16th.
Right.
Perhaps, Mr. Quinty, if you could kind of notify us of the various items that have been slipped by and so much for the last, maybe you could update us so that we can go into it in a very positive way.
Yeah, we have a draft on file. on the audit and council policy. So we just have to bring that up for another, we've had one read. We just bring up for a second read.
If you could have that included in our agenda, please.
You bet.
Thank you, sir. So we're just going to be working on that one.
Yes.
One item. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Is anything else that someone would like to bring up about policy subcommittees or policies? Okay. We're moving on to item 10 then, seeing nothing. In the chairman's notes, I think we have a little bit of time tonight. I've been kind of holding on to this. And this is part of policies in a sense, because it has to do with the school committee code of ethics, and we do have a policy to this. But I would simply like to quickly review the Massachusetts School Committee Code of Ethics, which comes down to 3 areas of community responsibility: responsibility to school administration, and relationship to fellow community members. So the first item is, and we have this up on the screen for you, a school committee member in his or her in community relationships, a school committee member in his or her relationships with the community should realize that his or her primary responsibility is to the children, recognize that his or her basic function is policy making, not administrative, remember that he or she is one of a team and must abide by and carry out all committee decisions once they are made, be well informed concerning the duties of a committee member on both local and state level, remember that he/she represents the entire community at all times, and accept the office of committee member as a means of unselfish service with no intent to play politics in any sense of the word or to benefit personally from committee activities. In relationship to the responsibility to school administration, a school committee member in his or her relationships with the school administration should A, endeavor to establish sound and clearly defined policies with which to direct and support administration, recognize and support the administrative chain of command and refuse to act on complaints as an individual outside the administration. C, act only on the recommendation of the chief administrator in all matters of employment or dismissal of school personnel. D, give the chief administrator full responsibility for discharging his or her professional duties and hold him or her responsible for acceptable results. E, refer all complaints to the administrative staff for solution and only discuss them at committee meetings if such solutions fail. 3 is relationship to fellow committee members. A school committee member should, in his or her relationships with fellow committee members, should A, recognize that the action at official meetings is binding and that he alone cannot bind the committee outside such meetings. Realize that statements or promises should not be made regarding how he/she will vote on matters that will come before the committee. And C, uphold the intent of executive sessions and respect the privileged communication that exists in executive sessions. D, not withhold pertinent information on school matters or personnel problems either from the members of his or her own committee or from members of other committees who may be seeking help and information on school problems. And D, make decisions only after all facts on a question have been presented and discussed. So this is actually incorporated into our policy on this, but I just thought it was good to review it from time to time and kind of remember that we're here for the children. So I think that number 1 is very, very important. Okay, thank you very much. I have no other notes except the one I kind of inserted into Mary's report. Sorry, Mary. Other topics for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting. I don't think that we have any. So we'll move on to 12, communications.
No, first day of school.
You, Jonathan?
That is me. First day of school, September 16th. Yay, hooray. Exciting times.
Panther cohort.
For the Panther cohort, yes. September 17th for the Pride cohort. Looking forward to hearing that night what we have, how the first day went.
There was a interesting sub report that if you have celebrations for the first day of school, You might have different celebrations for the first day of school, but we should still have celebrations for the first day of school. Is that the end of your communications, John?
That is the end of my communications.
Thank you so much. We will adjourn to an executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 38A, Paragraph 21A3, for the purposes of conducting strategy with respect to collective bargaining, as conducting this deliberation in an open session would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will return to open session following the executive session only to adjourn. So I would accept a motion for that, and that is a roll call vote, please.
So 8:37 by my clock, I will make that motion that we enter into executive session for the reasons listed A and B on our agenda, only to return to out of executive session to regular session to adjourn regular session.
Second.
I think I said that correctly.
So
Please don't say it again.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and we will not do any business at all, as was stated, after the executive session, only to adjourn the regular session. Michelle, would you have a roll call vote, please, for that?
Mr. DeForge?
Aye.
Mrs. Granger?
Aye.
Mr. Leone?
Aye.
Mr. Quinty?
Aye.
Mrs. Reschutz?
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons?
Aye.
Thank you very much, and we will adjourn to executive session.